All right. It is 12:03. We'll call the CROG Policy Board to order. Our first item of business is to ask if there is any public comments. Is there any public comments? Asking a third time if there is any public comment. Hearing none, we'll turn to the approval of the meeting minutes from April 22nd, 2026. They are linked in the package. Hope everybody had a chance to review them. Is there a motion, please?
I move approval, Ken Lesser.
Thank you,
Second,
Mayor
Eric
Lesser.
Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Are there any corrections? Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay. Action items. First up is the 26-27 budget presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hart and Ms. Yoder.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We do have a very full agenda. We're going to move through things as expeditiously as possible. Pauline Yoder and our leadership team and I were very pleased to present the proposed budget for next fiscal year to you. Under our bylaws, both the executive committee and the policy board need to review and approve our budget in order for it to take effect. And we did review it with the executive committee earlier this month, and they did unanimously endorse it. Many of you serve on the executive committee, so you will be seeing this for a second time. I'm going to move through it just a little bit more quickly in the interest of time. So some highlights for next fiscal year. The budget is balanced. It does maintain our current services and programs. It also maintains our current due structure. Again, that's a $3,000 base that each of the 38 towns will pay and 68.5 cents per capita. We are thinking about a dues increase for the following year. We have not adjusted our dues in many years. So we are thinking about an increase for the coming year. We just wanted to flag that. We'll review that with the Personnel and Finance Committee at a later point. This budget does include a general wage increase or a COLA of 3% for all regular CROG staff, including myself. Given some limitations, we are not considering any significant merit increases for the coming year. However, we will be awarding some adjustments based on market promotions, etc. The majority of our regular staff will be looking at a general wage increase of 3%. Next slide, please. So our budget does differ a little bit from a municipal budget, and I will note that as we move forward in the presentation. We just have this one operating budget. We do not have a separate capital improvement program. We do not have a separate capital non-recurring fund budget. It's really much simpler than your budgets in many ways. But the budget is also designed to support our strategic priorities, which we've identified. I'm not going to read each and every one of these, but everything from governance and communications through shared services and workforce development. Next slide, please. A quick snapshot of where things stand for the current fiscal year. And as you can see here, our revenues exceed expenditures. We generally view that as a good thing, and that depends on our ability to move projects forward in a timely way. It depends on when grants come in, a whole variety of things, but we are in very good shape for the current fiscal year. So moving on to the proposed budget, you'll see here on the revenue side, a proposed budget of approximately $11.1 million. And on the expenditure side, a little bit less than that, approximately $11 million. In terms of revenues, the majority of our revenues in the coming year, and this is no different than in recent years, will be coming from the federal government in the form of grants really across our entire organization: transportation planning, public safety and homeland security, municipal services, Following federal funding comes state funding, and that's our regional services grant, as well as grants for various projects. You see here, local dues comprise less than 10% of our revenue mix. And then we have another category for various fees for service that we collect. On the expenditure side,
Sorry.
that's okay. On the expenditure side, you'll see that the largest category is in the contract is for contractual. Those are the consultants we retain for our planning studies and to assist with our programs and the services that we provide. Salaries at 24%, fringe and indirect at 26%, probably similar to what you see there, as well as some direct expenditures. Next slide, please. And here's just another pie chart, another way of looking at it, breaking down the revenues and the expenditures. So looking at the budget in a little bit more detail, here are the 6 major program areas. I'll walk you through the first half and then turn things over to Pauline. And everything from administrative through public safety and homeland security. Next slide, please. And here's our revenue by funding source. As I talked about earlier, federal, state, local dues, other, and then the expenditures by category, contractual, direct, salary, fringe, indirect, management support. Next slide, please. So let's get into some of these program areas a little bit. Our largest single department of transportation planning, headed by Rob Aloise, our director, and our deputy director, Kara Radzins. And this department coordinates and supports our MPO, administers the very popular local transportation capital improvement program, as well as other grants, conducts various important studies, corridor studies, works with the DOT, Federal Highway. And you can see a proposed budget here of approximately $4.5 million for next year. On the expenditure side, most of that going towards our planning personnel. You can see the studies and the other transportation projects, as well as the administration of the LOTSIP program. Next slide, please. Next is regional planning and development. This department is headed by Caitlin Palmer, our director here. And this department is responsible for supporting regional planning, economic development, our brownfields program, the regional housing strategy, the implementation of the state's new housing bill, and a variety of related functions. You see a proposed budget here of approximately $1.4 million. The majority of expenditures next year going towards brownfields. And then CPRG stands for the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. This is the last year, I think, of that grant source, and then some expenditures related to housing and economic development. The last one I'm going to touch on before I turn things over to Pauline is public safety and homeland security, a small but mighty department, as I like to say, headed by Cheryl Assis, and she's supported by a couple of part-time employees and some very, very talented contractual folks that we have working for us as well. And this department works very closely with the state, with DEMIS Region 3 in particular, administers a variety of important federal and state grants, works very closely with our public safety, emergency management, and public health community. Proposed budget here of approximately $1.6 million. On the expenditure side, you see the majority of the funding is comprised of the public health grants, the FEP grant that we administer, followed by homeland security projects and some other public safety duties as well. This department does a great job helping to train public safety folks from across our region. Next slide, please. Okay, so Pauline's going to take things over for the next few slides. I'll do a little bit of a wrap up, and then we'll be happy to take your questions. Pauline?
So Municipal Services Department covers all of our cooperative purchasing arm, the shared services, the RPIP grants, as well as the Crumbling Foundation's GAP Foundation funding, as well as the testing program. So it's a wide variety of things that that small group does, and we do a lot, and that's about $1.4 million in terms of the revenue and expenses. And then regional services grant and council admin budget. This is what covers a lot of that that is across all of our departments. So the RSG is our state grant that almost a lot of a majority of our staff charge to at one point or another, depending on what they are doing. And then as well as the local municipal dues falls under this category as well. Staffing information. So this is a weird number. This is because we have part-time employees who work very few hours. So we have 34 total bodies in terms of contractual staff, and then 3 part-time contractors, and then 33.19 FTE equivalents. So fund balance information. This is the regional fund is the one that people are always interested in. The 2.4 million projected fund balance includes projects that have been already allocated from the regional fund, such as the public safety training coordinator, as well as some of the housing strategy and the economic development coordinator that the policy board passed last month. Projected revenue, we always do a 5-year sort of what are we looking at down the road. I will say in terms of the future, we're very stable. I do not anticipate there's the new STP act that's coming through Congress right now, and we anticipate it will be favorable to us. If not, it won't be negative for us at this point in time. That's the way it's looking. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Pauline. Mr. Chairman, before we open it up for questions, understand we're working through this relatively quickly. We did go through it more extensively with the executive committee. I want to thank Pauline and our finance staff, as well as our leadership team, for the work that they do each and every year to prepare the proposed budget. And we did receive the GFOA budget award for the current year budget. We've received that many years consecutively. And I think that's a testament to the good work that they do. Happy to take any questions that board members may have, Mr. Chairman. And if you are ready, we would be looking for your approval today.
Before I open it up to questions or comments from the rest of the board, I just want to echo your comments, Matt, and thanks to you and your whole team for putting together an organization that is sustainable and supportive of the needs that we all have. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the board? I can't see anybody, so if you have them, please unmute yourself and state your business. If there are none, if the board is comfortable, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the budget for FY 26-27.
I would so move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Oh.
Thank you, Mayor Lefter. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of the budget as presented, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the budget is adopted.
Thank you.
If only it was that easy, huh?
No referendum needed.
Okay, so that brings us to the resolution to accept FY 26-27 Regional Services Grant. Pauline.
So this is the state funding that we get every year, and although we did pass a resolution some time ago to accept all grants from OPM, they said we have to pass this resolution every year. So this is to receive our state funding for next fiscal year. That was just in the budget.
Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
Wendy will second.
Thank you, Wendy. Any discussion on the resolution? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Folks. Resolution to approve the Regional Performance Incentive Program grant application for a shared human resources director. Pauline, this is still you, I think.
Yes, Laura is out sick. So East Granby and Granby would like to apply for an RPIP grant for a shared HR director. They are OPM is this is familiar to the policy board. We've passed a few of these. OPM is accepting rolling applications on a quarterly basis. So we would be submitting this for July 1, and they're pretty excited about it. I will also note that we just got notice that the shared finance officer from a few months ago was approved. So
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that, I can't see who that was.
Tony Harrington.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Motion made and seconded. I do have a question about this. First of all, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. How much are each of the municipalities by dollar amount and by percentage being asked to contribute towards this?
So it's a 50% match requirement from OPM. And so it is, I believe the towns over the 3-year period will be contributing $233,000 over that 3-year period. Total, not each. And it will be split. I believe it's split 80-20 because based on the amount of time that the HR director is going to be spending in each town.
That's great. All right, that answers my questions. Are there any other comments? Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any other comments?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I did hear finance involved. Is the same opportunity being presented on a finance end?
Correct. So we've learned that we've done this, having done this, that it's usually has to be towns who come of the meeting of the minds prior to what comes before the policy board. We have lots of discussions, towns who have needs when that meets together. A few months ago, we passed Marlborough and Woodbridge did a shared finance officer that we applied for and just received. And then this is something similar. It could be anything, any position, that existing position, we've been told, within the towns, or existing services within the towns could be shared across one town, across 2 towns, multiple towns.
Thank you.
I see Matt has his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Harrington, thank you for raising that question. The Regional Performance Incentive Program, or the RPIP, that can be a great vehicle to help subsidize and get a new regional service sharing initiative off the ground. That's what it's designed to do. And I want to commend Pauline and the staff. I think they've worked with a variety of our communities over the past year, and we've made really good progress in supporting roughly half a dozen of these grants. So if any community is interested, we are always happy to chat with you about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Harrington, anything else on your end?
Not on this matter. I think there was some discussion toward the tail end of one of our last meetings relative to economic development sharing kind of arrangement that I wanted to find out more information about.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there opposed? Okay. Mayor Harrington, you can circle back with either Matt or Pauline offline if you want to get more information on that.
Okay, thank you.
Number 9, resolution authorizing CROG to execute a contract with the Facility Optimization Solutions for job order contracting consulting services. Is Kim with us? That's a mouthful, by the way. Is Kim with us?
It is. So I'm going to abbreviate Facility Optimization Solutions as FOSS, so you'll know what that means when I say it now. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Jason. Back in January, CROG issued an RFP for consulting services for our job order contracting program. And we received 3 proposals, one which was eliminated due to lack of relevant experience, leaving us with 2 qualified firms, our incumbent consultant, the Gordian Group, and Facility Optimization Solutions, PAWS. These 2 firms advanced through a highly competitive interview process. Therefore, CROG did hold 2 rounds of interviews. The second interview consisted of a rather extensive panel. In addition to CROG staff, we had municipal officials, public works directors, finance directors, and several members of the CRPC executive committee on that panel. At the conclusion of the interviews, the panel reached a strong consensus, and we're all in favor of, just about all in favor, that FOSS was the most qualified firm to award this contract to. So before you today, you will find a resolution that is requesting authorization from the board to authorize CROG to enter into a contract with FOSS for job order contracting consulting services. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments for Kim? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
I'll second. Rodney.
Thank you, Rodney. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Now back to Pauline to discuss a resolution authorizing CROG's entrance into a contract with MetroCog for electronic documentation management services. Pauline, you're muted.
I know. Sorry about that. MetroCog has a master contract with AIS, a provider for electronic document management system. This would be for our internal use for EDMS, and we would be a party to their contract to enter into contract with MetroCog with AIS, the service provider.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Harrington. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Action number 11, resolution endorsing the Regional Stormwater Authority feasibility study. Is Heidi with us?
Yep. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. So we recently concluded the Regional Stormwater Authority feasibility study that was funded through DEEP's Climate Resilience Fund, and we're seeking your endorsement today. The study was guided by an advisory committee, which was comprised of all interested municipalities and regional partners. As part of the study, our consultants did a stormwater program analysis for 5 communities, where we looked at both the current and future funding needs for your stormwater operations, maintenance, and capital projects. Then with that number, the consultant did a rate analysis for 4 communities to determine a hypothetical fee if a utility were created. The study also provided a lot of educational material, since the concept of a stormwater utility is still somewhat new in Connecticut, despite there being over 2,000 utilities throughout the U.S. The study did conclude that a regional or multi-jurisdictional utility is feasible, but it does require local champions and political support. And in fact, the 2 utilities that are in Connecticut were created due to the strong political support and will of local leadership. The consultant also recommended the formation of a stormwater committee to continue exploring regional collaboration. We view today as actually the start of our stormwater work with you and hope to come out to your communities and talk in more detail about what this study found and what some potential points of regional collaboration may be. But today we're asking you for endorsement of the study.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Heidi? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion.
So moved.
Go ahead.
I've got this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Approval of our lots of recommended project selections. Satoria? I saw her on, I think.
I am on. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon, everybody. So this is a recommendation of the selections for the LOTSIP program. We had a request or an RFP issued back in October, and we had 45 million allocated for the LOTSIP program. And under LOTSIP, municipalities receive 100% construction. And it's a state-funded program for municipal transportation projects. And we reviewed the selections. Applications were submitted in the fall, and we received almost 85 million worth of projects. But we recommended approval of 20 project selections in the amount of 48,871,000 from the LOTSIP 2026 solicitation. This was endorsed by the Transportation Committee. And so these are the selections, and we asked the Policy Board to approve these selections.
Any questions or comments for Satoria? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I would so move this, and the Transportation Committee unanimously endorsed it.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rodney.
Rodney
Any
first.
further discussion on the recommendations or the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Recommendations are adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll turn now to Mr. Coleman for tip amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tip amendments, all of which have been reviewed and vetted and endorsed unanimously by the Transportation Committee. 2 of them are on I-84 in terms of improvements in the Hartford area. One is in on Connecticut Route 15 in Wethersfield, a bridge improvement by McMullen Avenue. There are 2 Connecticut Transit requests. One is to update their fare collection system and to make it much more user-friendly and efficient for them. And then some various administrative and capital facilities improvement. And then the last 2 are for the Greater Hartford Transit District to do rehab and update to their facilities. Again, the Transportation Committee reviewed and unanimously endorsed all of the tip amendments, and I would so move their approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I've got Mayor Harrington. Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The amendment is adopted. John, the next couple are with you, so let's turn to the resolution for federal fiscal 27 through 30 transportation improvement program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to ask Rob. Rob, can we do one motion to approve all three resolutions? Do we have to do them separately?
I think we need them separately, John.
Okay. The first resolution, item number 14, is to approve the 3-year transportation improvement program. Unlike we have just approved amendments to that, but every 3 years, CONDOT under the federal program has to update the transportation improvement program. Again, the Transportation Committee reviewed and unanimously endorsed the FY 2030 Transportation Improvement Program, and I would so move approval of the resolution.
Thank you,
Second.
sir. Is there a second? Mayor Lesser, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Resolution is adopted. John, still you.
Again, this is a conformity resolution. We have to, on a regular basis, indicate to the state and to the federal governments that what we are doing conforms, that our plans particular and what we propose to do conforms with the Clean Air Act. We have determined that we do indeed conform with the Clean Air Act, and the Transportation Committee again unanimously approved that conformity and recommend same to the Policy Board acting as the MPO, and I would so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Lesser. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, resolution is adopted. The annual MPO planning certification, Mr. Coleman.
Yes, sir. This is the one I get a kick out of. This is where we self-certify that we are doing everything in accordance with federal and state regulations as required for the MPO. And Transportation Committee has certified that we are in fact in compliance, and we would and annually and unanimously approve that and recommend same to the Policy Board, and I would so move.
Is there a second? Thank you, Mayor Lesser. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. I'll turn now to Donna Hamsey for our legislative update.
Mr. Chairman, this is Matt. Donna is not able to attend today. She did let us know in advance, and I failed to notify you. So I'm happy to provide a brief overview. You know, if you want to weigh in as well, or anyone else from the Legislative Committee. I know that our chairwoman, Lisa Thomas, was not available today. But our Legislative Committee did meet recently, and from our perspective, this past session of the General Assembly, it was a productive one for CROG. You know, we did advocate successfully for several of the priority items listed in our legislative agenda. We were able to realize some gains with respect to transportation funding. We joined a coalition of CCM and COST and the State School Finance Project to help obtain some increased education funding and municipal aid for our municipalities. We also made some progress with respect to siting renewable energy facilities. There were some things we weren't able to accomplish, and that holds true each and every session. So those are things we will come back next session and seek support for. But breaking this down just a little bit further, Mr. Chairman, on the transportation and infrastructure side, I think the most notable achievement this past session was the $800,000 in state funding that we will be receiving to enable CROG to conduct a study to bring the CT Fast Track bus rapid transit system east of the Connecticut River in a more robust fashion. We're going to look at the I-84 and the 384 corridors. And we're, really excited about that initiative, and hopefully that will lead to a future expansion of the system. So want to thank our House Majority Leader, Jason Rojas, who represents East Hartford and Manchester, for his support of that proposal. And we are also successful in terms of our advocacy to maintain the state's pilot initiative for microtransit. The state is conducting 9 pilots around the state, including one in our region that serves East Windsor and Enfield. It's proven to be very popular. Funding was due to expire later this calendar year. So we joined a handful of other advocates and were successful in achieving state support to continue that pilot for another couple of years. And that will give the state ideally time to work in the microtransit service as a more permanent component of the state's public transit portfolio. So good progress there. Moving on to some other categories in the area of education funding and municipal aid. We did advocate for some reforms to some of the major formula grants on the special ed side in particular. We did not achieve that, but as you all know better than me, the General Assembly, with the governor's support, did approve a substantial increase in support on both the education and municipal government side for the coming fiscal year. Approximately 273 million altogether, approximately 173 million on the education side, special ed in particular, and then 100 million in supplemental Pequot Mohegan funds. So certainly those funds are well received by our municipalities and municipalities across the state. We still think it's important, however, to continue to advocate for reform to some of those formulas behind those state grants to ensure that they are more sustainable in the future. So we will certainly continue that work. And then in the area of energy siting and land use reform, some good progress there as well. And Mr. Chairman, you're probably as knowledgeable as anyone in the state on this issue. But the General Assembly did adopt 2 pieces of related legislation that we advocated for. This one, House Bill 5340, established new limitations on developing solar in those communities that already host significant concentrations of solar facilities. So that's our region in particular, East Windsor and Enfield and Ellington, I believe. So almost a moratorium, if you will, so that the state can consider making some additional reforms to siting. And then another bill I would note is House Bill 5442, which made some important revisions to how solar installations are taxed in our state. So certainly some good progress. Want to thank the members of our legislative committee for their good work. Our lobbyist, Donna Hanzi-Carocia, for her support, for her guidance, for her strategic insight. We are going to start up again in the next month or two. So we'll be issuing a call for volunteers to the policy board. Those of you who once again want to serve on the legislative committee, maybe you haven't served in the past and you have an interest, we will welcome you. And Lisa Thomas from Coventry will continue as the committee chair. And Connor Martin, mayor in East Hartford, will continue as vice chair. So that's an overview, Mr. Chairman. Happy to take any additional thoughts you may have as well as questions from the members.
Well, I would just expand on one of the topics you talked about earlier in the report here, which is what you viewed as CROG's biggest win of the session, the $800,000 for Fast Track East. What the board should know and what Matt didn't share is that that came about as kind of a very quick side conversation that he had with the House Majority Leader. And he simply offered that CROG could do that study. And within the course of about an hour of text messages back and forth, Matt had secured $800,000 for CROG to do that, which was just as fast as I've seen things happen in that building ever. So good job to you for seeing that opportunity and seizing on the moment. Really, that was wonderful. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board on the legislative session and what we're looking at implementing and what we're looking at as we roll forward? Got it all covered. All right. Matt, I did notice that we had a couple of federal partners on the call. I'll beg the board's indulgence, but if there's anybody from one of our congressional offices who would like to give an update on what's going on in Washington, we'd welcome that. I think I saw Blumenthal's office on. Not sure if I saw others.
Hi, yes, sorry. Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office. Thank you so much, First Selectman, for recognizing me. I actually don't have very much to report right now. We are continuing to follow the appropriations and any CDS kind of projects that people have. We will keep you updated as we know them. But that's really all from me.
Awesome. Well, Ellen, it's always wonderful to have somebody from Senator Blumenthal's office here. Always happy to have you here. And anytime that you want to give us an update on what you guys are working on, we'd be happy to hear it.
Thank you.
I also see Chris Giglio is on, who's our lobbyist in Washington. Chris, do you have any updates for us?
Hi, Mr. Chair. Thanks for your time. I'll be quick. We could talk all day about what's going on here in DC, but I will concentrate on three quick things. First, like Ellen mentioned, the Congress is really digging into the fiscal year 2027 budget, which technically should start on October 1st. Congress hasn't finished an annual budget by October 1st in a generation, so I would expect that to be later this year, perhaps even early next year. But the House and Senate are starting in on that, the House in particular. Back in April, the president issued his proposed FY 2027 budget. It was much like his 2026 version in that he recommended some really deep cuts to lots of what we call domestic discretionary programs that we care about. So for instance, the CDBG program at HUD recommended eliminating that. The home program at HUD recommended eliminating that. The Economic Development Administration at the Department of Commerce recommended eliminating that. So however, we expect even the Republican-controlled Congress to kind of reject those really deep cuts and eliminations. They did in FY26. We expect that to happen in FY27. As a matter of fact, the House has already sort of started its process on its FY27 budget, and its proposed HUD's budget keeps CDBG at its initial level of $3.3 billion. Has a pretty deep cut to the home program, but we would expect the Senate to kind of cover that somewhere down the line. Again, like Ellen mentioned, both the House and the Senate are using these congressionally designated spending or community project funding, depending on what you want to call it. I'm old and I call them earmarks. But again, for your communities, both senators have made their recommendations to the appropriations committees. And as a matter of fact, the House is already made some recommendations on earmarks for FY27. Happy to provide any information, background information on that as people look for their particular projects. The other one I was going to mention was just last week, the House Transportation Committee approved its version of a 5-year surface transportation reauthorization bill. So that's federal transit, highway, and rail programs. And that's a big deal. The current law, which was part of that 2021 infrastructure law, current law expires at the end of September. Congress needs to do something in order for DOT to use the money that it has on these programs. Not again, just like the budget, not expecting the highway transit bill to be done by September 30th. Some sort of short-term extension is needed, but the fact that the House is moving on this was a bit of a surprise. I don't think anybody was going to expect the generational types of funding increases that 2021 infrastructure law included. But this House bill is actually not too bad, Republican-led. We kind of were expecting them to kind of go back to pre-IIJA, BIL numbers. They haven't. They've kind of built on those for many programs. And so it was a good starting point. There's some permitting reform in there as well. Didn't go as far as the what we call the LOT Coalition, a group of local government organizations like the National League of Cities, National Association of Regional Councils. They had a proposal to bring more federal money to MPOs, directly to MPOs, as opposed to having to go through states. There's a bit of an acknowledgement that that MPOs should have more ability to control that money, but it didn't quite go as far as that LOT Coalition had wanted. So continuing to work on that. The Senate will still have to do its version of a bill. They move much slower. They have many more committees involved. So again, I wouldn't expect anything finalized before September, but the House has started this discussion, and we're happy about that. The third thing I wanted to mention was housing legislation. Both the House and the Senate for the past several months have been talking about a major legislation to encourage housing development. And the House passed something last month and sent it over to the Senate. The Senate's sort of saying, we want to change it. It's a very large bill. The supporters are talking about it. It's being approved in bipartisan fashion. Supporters are talking about it as a generational type of housing bill, which it is because Congress hasn't done anything on housing for a long time. But in the end, it's probably more suggestive than, including mandates. It does not, because it's an authorization bill and not an appropriations bill, it doesn't actually include any money for any of the proposals that it has. But again, it does provide some carrots for, again, permitting reform on the housing side, encouraging local governments to redo their zoning to encourage more housing, encouraging community banks to do more lending in that area, those sorts of things. So again, Congress is sort of moving toward approval of that. I think both sides would like to try to get a housing bill under their belts before November elections. And again, like I said, the House has already approved their version and are pushing the Senate to approve theirs. So that's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions or cover anything that I might have missed.
So, Chris, I have a question pertaining to the CDS. I'm not sure if this is best asked of you or Ellen, but for those municipalities that have CDS approvals that are in process, that have cleared either our respective House or Senate offices, obviously we need the Congress to pass those included in the budget. I have two questions. If the budget does a CR through the end of this Congress, do we lose those, or does the next Congress pick those up?
Well, this did happen once before in fiscal year 25, where Congress did what they called a full year continuing resolution. None of the earmarks that the House or Senate passed got approved. But FY26, it really depended by office as to how, and maybe Ellen can talk about this with regard to her office, but different offices have different policies with regard to those quote unquote lost earmarks. Some allowed them to just kind of roll them over. Others said, nah, you need to reapply, that sort of thing. So again, I'll leave that to Ellen to talk about her particular situation.
Yes. So what we did is we just kind of rolled them over into the next year. And we did have other projects added to the list, but we focused on the projects that had been picked that year before.
Okay, thank you. And that gets to my second question. And again, I'm not sure if this is a Chris or an Ellen question, but in the event that one or both chambers were to change parties with the November election, does that increase the likelihood of the sitting Congress doing a fiscal year budget prior to the Congress sunsetting? Or does it decrease the likelihood of that?
Yeah,
I'm interested in see what Chris thinks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess my gut would say if Democrats were to flip the House and the Senate in November, they would say, huh, let's just wait a couple of months and we can handle the budget the way we want to handle it in calendar year 2027.
But would they be in a position to actually do that, or would the majorities in Congress still be able to push a budget through in the lame duck?
No, yeah, with the budget, they would need, particularly in the Senate, they would need 60 votes to approve a budget. So some Democrats would have to vote for that.
Oh, the budget is subject to the filibuster?
Yes.
I didn't. I thought that was one of the exempted items. Okay. Those are my questions. Are there any other questions for Chris or Ellen? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I will turn now to Matt for staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to thank Chris and Ellen as well for that federal update. I'll move through staff reports as expeditiously as I can. We might go to 105 or so, but should be able to move forward through that quickly. So a couple things I wanted to touch on that I did not write up. Number one, she wasn't able to attend today, but I wanted to welcome Laura Frankowski from our team back from parental leave. She has returned in more of a part-time capacity as a program manager supporting both our municipal services department as well as public safety and homeland security. So very happy for Laura, and congratulations to her in terms of taking on this new role. Next item I wanted to touch on is, I'm sure you are all aware of the fact that Eversource has filed with PURA for a rate adjustment. Mark Massaro was very good about reaching out to me, making me aware. Mark from Eversource, I believe he's attending today. And Mark and I talked about bringing the company into your September meeting, just to provide a bit of a presentation, go over what they're seeking, and to take any questions that board members may have. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of the fact that we were aware of the requested rate increase, rate adjustment, and that we would be scheduling a presentation in the future. So moving on to general announcements, wanted to encourage you, if you haven't already, please register for our annual meeting. As Wendy Maxtudis and others can attest to, it's always worthwhile. We try to recruit an interesting keynote speaker and have a little bit of fun at the session as well. This year, very excited that Joe D'Ambrosia, Joe D, one of the longtime voices of the Yukon Huskies, is going to be our keynote speaker. I think Joe's going to talk about how the role athletics plays in higher ed. I know that can be a little bit of a controversial topic, and I think Joe has a really good story to tell. We're also going to issue some CROG awards that we haven't issued in recent years. So if you haven't registered, please do so. Annual meeting from 12 to 2:30 on June 3rd at the Yukon Alumni Center. You will also be able to take a tour of the Husky Heritage Sports Museum too, if you have time for that. So really looking forward to our annual meeting. And Doreen just dropped the registration form into the chat for your use. I also want to thank Kim Bishop, Caitlin Palmer, and others. We recently held our first workshop in partner with Connecticut Main Street Center. We're now members of Connecticut Main Street Center in trying to offer some joint benefits to all of you. Had a really good session on downtowns that deliver, and this featured Sarah Nielsen from the town of Simsbury's Main Street Partnership. Want to thank her. And we'd ask all of you to complete, if you could, our entrepreneurial ecosystem assessment audit. So we're looking for some feedback in terms of how receptive, how welcoming we think our region is for entrepreneurs, and what more can we do to support them. Next item, I want to thank the members. I want to thank those of you who were able to participate in our April 22nd visioning session, where we took a look at CROG's strategic priorities and identified other topics that the board wants to explore, and brought back that feedback to our executive committee earlier this month. I think we have a good game plan for moving forward in the future. So thank you all for your participation there. And I want to congratulate those members of our regional planning and economic and development team. They were part of a contingent of planners from COGS across the state who received this special chapter award from the Connecticut chapter of the American Planning Association. And this is for the work they've done thus far, digesting the housing bill and gearing up to support our towns with our regional housing growth plan. So congratulations to all of them. Moving on to the next slide, please. So some cooperative bidding and funding opportunities, which I know you're always very interested in. Those of you who have some involvement in purchasing, we will be issuing our road salt, both treated and untreated, bid on June 10th. If you haven't decided to participate yet, please contact Kim Bona from our team ASAP. We've got links to the emails here. This is a no piggybacking bid. So please check with your community, with your purchasing staff to make sure that they're participating in this. And if not, you can reach out to Kim. The US DOT and Federal Highway Bridge Investment Program, they are taking applications for planning grants. Those are due June 15th. Actual bridge projects themselves due on June 29th. And then here's a link to the notice of funding opportunity where you can learn more about it. Pleased that FEMA and DEMIS are again supporting the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, our BRIC grant program. We thought that had expired a year ago. So happy to see this coming back, and communities can apply for various projects related to disaster risk reduction and resiliency projects. Those would be due on July 1st. And there's a link where you can learn more about that program. FEMA also has other monies available to support firefighters and other first responders. Those applications are due June 22nd. And there's a link where you can learn more about that program. I will also ask Doreen, if she hasn't already, to drop a link to the full staff report into the chat. Next slide, please. So a few more things on bidding and funding opportunities. The FTA is supporting transit-oriented development, and they've got 28.5 million available nationwide. Applications are due by July 10th. There's a link where you can learn more. The state's increasingly popular Community Investment Fund program, will be issuing, or round nine applications are due on June 5th. There's a link where you can learn more there. CROG administers an increasingly popular Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund program, and we take applications on a rolling basis. So there's a link where you can learn more about that one too. And then we've got links to our latest funding newsletter. I want to thank Elizabeth Sanderson on our team for preparing that. And if you ever want support in putting together an application for state or federal funding, please do not hesitate to reach out to Elizabeth for a letter of support and her guidance. Next slide, please. So we'll move on to talk about some project and program updates. We are conducting a survey to assess our readiness with respect to AI, and what more can we do to help our towns with this technology that really is taking over the world. And that's true for local government as well. So please complete that survey or send it on to the appropriate staff in your municipality to complete. I want to thank Cheryl Assis and the members of our public safety team. I think they're doing a tremendous job hosting training sessions, and we've got some very skilled trainers on our staff, and they're conducting training in a whole variety of related public safety emergency management disciplines, as you see here trench rescue, UTV operations, crisis negotiator, tactical marksmanship, dive team workshops, a whole variety of things. So if you're ever interested, do not hesitate to reach out to Cheryl, and we'll see what we can do for you and your community. We are in collaboration with our Regional Solid Waste Authority. We are recruiting a part-time waste diversion education and outreach coordinator. Really excited about that. Looking forward to getting a talented person on board, someone who's skilled in social media and who's a little bit knowledgeable in this space and can support our towns in that good work. And on a related front, if you haven't already, check out our 4-part sustainability series that really highlights the good work that the town of Mansfield has done in this area over the last several years. A lot of great ideas that you can employ in your community if you haven't already. Next slide, please. Our Housing Growth Plan Technical Advisory Committee, comprised largely of town planners and economic development staff, will meet for the very first time tomorrow. If you're looking for more information, please reach out to our housing planner, SN Villalba, who recently joined our team. We do have a public comment period open for 2 very important CROG studies. One, our priority pathway study, as we're looking to build out the multi-use trail network in our region. That closes on June 14th. And then another important study related to warehousing, with a whole variety of good recommendations related to how to site those facilities, manage traffic, etc. That comment period closes on June 19th. And then to respond to the question from Mayor Harrington earlier in this meeting, we are hosting these regional economic development roundtables. We hosted our first one on April 30th. I want to thank the town of Berlin for hosting us. Really appreciated that. We're joined by Metro Hartford Alliance and Capital Workforce Partners at these. We're looking for more communities to host these. I know that Windsor has expressed an interest. Wethersfield has as well. We will also be convening meetings, and Mayor Harrington, these are scheduled for June 16th and June 17th from noon to 1:30 p.m. We'll be issuing invites shortly. And we're going to be looking for opportunities for shared services with respect to economic development. For example, if your community is interested in sharing an economic development staff person, we're going to talk about that. If your community may already have economic development staff, but you might be interested in sharing a subscription for a data set, for a brokerage newsletter, we're going to talk about those topics as well. So those invitations will be coming out very soon. Next slide, please. And then I will wrap up here with some committee updates. I believe that Peter Souza had to leave, but Peter does a great job chairing our Municipal Services Committee. They met in April, provided us with some good feedback on our regional data portal. We also talked about how can we provide CDL training for our drivers at a regional level. And the next meeting will be a virtual meeting, 12 p.m. on June 9th. Our Vision Zero Task Force is wrapping up its work on June 11th, and they'll be endorsing the Regional Safety Action Plan. That plan is important because it identifies a variety of important safety projects in each and every one of CROG's 38 municipalities. So we're looking forward to endorsing that plan, and we're going to bring it to the Transportation Committee and to all of you next month. And then, I'll wrap up with meetings and events. Our Brownfield Steering Committee will meet on June 8th. If you have an interest, please reach out to Elizabeth Sanderson. The Regional Planning Commission will meet at 7 p.m. on June 4th. And the next meeting of the Policy Board will be noon on June 24th. That will be the last meeting of the Policy Board before our 2-month summer recess in July and August. That completes my report, Mr. Chairman. I know we're a little past the hour, but happy to take any questions that you or others may have.
Oh, there's good stuff going on. Thanks for the update. Are there any other questions or comments for Matt or his team? Hearing none, I think I would ask for a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, Matt, did you have any other business?
No other business from the staff team today, Mr. Chairman, and then we just had a few items under correspondence and communications, the invite to our annual meeting. Oh, the conflict of interest form. If you haven't completed this, please do it. We need every policy board member to complete that. And then we've got copies of our newsletters as well as letters of support we've issued for federal and state grants.
Okay, now I think we're ready, right?
I'll move
Yes.
it, Mr. Chairman. Bill Morrison from Stafford.
Moved by Bill. Is there a second?
I'll second Wendy.
Seconded by Wendy. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Are there any? We're adjourned at 1:08 p.m. For those of you still celebrating budget season, good luck in the next couple of weeks. I'm out there with you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a
all
good
so
week.
much. Hope to see you next week.